Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got a full tank review for you on this. It's the ERAC 105 prototype, and it is the first of the two vehicles that are new to the Battle Pass token store. And this vehicle is quite special because it's the second Tier 9 light tank ever that has not been a tech tree tank. The first one being the Char 75, so the French have a little bit of a monopoly on this, as you can see. This vehicle, it's just an all-rounder. It's got a 105mm gun, 8 degrees of gun depression, 320 alpha, has pretty good gun handling, pretty okay view range, pretty good scouting capability, and today I'm going to let you know whether it's worth spending your hard-earned Battle Pass tokens on this vehicle or whether you should save them for the Tier 9 Soviet Reward Heavy with an autoloader that's coming up. So before I compare the ERAC to another Tier 9 light tank, I want to add the caveat that the statistics of the ERAC that you see in the video of me playing today are going to be changed. The vehicle is going to be less accurate with worse dispersion when moving, but it will have better turret traverse dispersion. But unfortunately, it's going to have 100 less hit points than the vehicle that you see me play today. Accordingly, let's compare the ERAC 105 prototype to the G-Saw. And the G-Saw is the best performing Tier 9 light tank in the game, so if the ERAC can get close to it, it should be good news. So immediately we notice this vehicle has much better damage per minute than the G-Saw at nearly 1,800, but unfortunately it has less pen at 222 APCR compared to the AP 232 that the G-Saw has. That's a big difference because those AP rounds will have 5 degrees of normalization, so way better pen with the G-Saw there effectively. The heat rounds, however, on the ERAC are pretty good at 270 heats. That'd be decent over long ranges, while the G-Saw has 254 of its APCR, which is going to have 2 degrees more normalization, but won't be able to go through surfaces up to 85 degrees. So the 105mm on the ERAC with 320 alpha, it's great. Completely destroys the G-Saw for its alpha, and this vehicle carries enough ammunition for a light tank to have a substantial game. Potential damage, 11,500. That is double what the G-Saw is capable of. So while the G-Saw has to be like a pure scout pretty much and will never get big damage totals, the ERAC will be fully capable of some big carry games. Yeah, if the damage per minute is enough, right? So gun handling wise, the ERAC is pretty darn close to the G-Saw. 1.9 seconds aim time, 0.37 accuracy, 0.2 dispersion when moving, and 8 degrees of gun depression means that this vehicle does have worse gun handling all in all than the G-Saw, but at least it's not horrible. Speed-wise, however, this vehicle's great. 70 forwards and 23 backwards is better forwards than the G-Saw, but slightly worse backwards. And while the power-to-weight ratio is worse and the ground resistances are worse, this thing still is easily able to get up to its 70km/h top speed limit. And as long as you take off-road driving on your driver, you won't really struggle on the soft terrain. This thing, it's a nimble, agile vehicle, although it doesn't turn nearly as quickly as the G-Saw, which can be a little bit awkward when you're spotting and trying to avoid taking hits. Armor-wise, this vehicle's horrendous. It basically doesn't have any armor at all, which means that everywhere that this vehicle gets hit is going to get overmatched by armor-piercing shells. And if your opponents fire HE shells at you, even if they only have 53mm of pen, they are going to be dominating this vehicle. Accordingly, if you see a lot of these in the matchmaker when the Battle Pass is released, maybe you want to go and get your Shelmer out, load HE, and yeah, you'll be thanking me later. Although the ERACs won't be thanking me. Hit points wise, 1,300. It's not bad, but it's not great for a fairly large light tank. I mean, look at this thing. It's a big box and easy to hit within that regard. Camera rating wise, it's not great news for this vehicle. 16.36 when you are moving, and accordingly, that puts the ERAC pretty much right in the middle of the list next to the T-54 lightweight, not exactly the most stealthy of vehicles. So it's an average light tank, lower than average probably when we compare it to all of the tier 10, 9 and 8 light tanks in the game. And one thing that I really don't like about this vehicle is that it has 390 meters view range, which means that yeah, you definitely have to be taking the coated optics on this, and there's pretty much no opportunity to just use vents. Crew-wise on this vehicle, if you have an AMX 13105, you're going to be happy. The crew will work absolutely perfectly. On your commander, I'd recommend Brothers, Repairs, Concealment, Recon, Emergency, and Coordination. For your radio operator skills on your commander, take Situational Awareness, Communications, Expert, and Jamming. For your gunner, I'd recommend Brothers, Repairs, Concealment, Deadeye, Designated Target, and Concentration, because this vehicle, it's got fairly good alpha, and I think it's worth investing in to improve that accuracy. And considering Wargaming have improved the turret traverse dispersion, I don't think it's a good idea to use Snapshot on this tank. For the loader, I would recommend Intuition, because this vehicle has heat, and the heat is very useful. ammo tuning and perfect charge will do you great on this vehicle. And for your driver, brothers, repairs, concealment, off-road driving to improve those soft terrains, engineered to go faster, smooth ride, and don't even think about taking controlled impact, as this vehicle is not very far, not very heavy at all. And I should highlight that, considering that the tank weighs just 8 tons when it's fully equipped, this thing is a perfect tank to ram. So if anyone's got Char 75s, you will be able to absolutely dominate these vehicles with a good old ram. Equipment-wise on this tank, I would recommend one build for 80-90% of your maps, and that is going to be vision system with coated optics and an exhaust. For the second build, and I played like 20 games in this tank and I never actually got on a map to use it, I would probably take vents, gun rammer, and something like an experimental turbo, and that makes this thing really fast. You're able to go near enough 80 kilometers an hour with that experimental turbo, and that will allow you to contest hill on mines, hill on tundra. Maybe you could even go up onto the hill on Glacier as well, on the big warship that's crashed in the center, those kind of things. But 80-90% of the time you're going to be using this. Field mods wise on this vehicle, I would recommend the valves tuning to improve the top speed. I'm going to go with the rate of fire. I feel like the accuracy, it's good enough on this tank. I'm going to improve the reverse speed. I'm going to take the firepower slot to improve that gun rammer for when I'm playing aggressively. And for the final field mod, I'm going to be taking concealment. However, there is an argument that if you were to destroy this field mod or not take it, for example, then you could probably be able to demount the coated optics and instead take vents. And that would give you probably about 1.5% less camo than you would if you'd gone the other way, but you will have enough view range and everything else about your vehicle will be better. So it's up to you whether you want to have 41.29% camo with 451 meters view range, or you want to have 42.5% camo with 474, but remember, everything else about your tank is going to be 3% worse. Anyway, I think that's quite enough theory crafting. Let's get stuck into some games. So first game, we are going to be rolling out on Safe Haven, aka the Japanese port map. I'm going to be taking my vision system, coated optics, and exhaust build. And yeah, spoilers, I played like 20 games in this vehicle. Never once got an opportunity to use anything but. And considering how well you're going to see this vehicle perform with regards to its firepower in today's video, that should show you that even without taking any of the firepower modules on this vehicle, it's still pretty good news. It's still pretty good news. Yeah, that's some good spotting there on the links at the start of this battle. Get out of my game, Scrublord. I'm going to be taking over this one, right? So we're going to have a little bit of an out-trade moment with the 3090, and that's because they missed our tank. We hit them, so easy trades, right? And this 320 alpha damage, it just feels good. It really does. I'd like to highlight just how important alpha is. A lot of people can get very focused on damage per minute. I have been one of them at times. But this 320 alpha damage definitely makes this feel like the tank is in a different class. And these heat rounds, yeah, fairly decent. Maybe that one's gone in against the XM57. Probably. Does he reappear on less hit points? He definitely does. So I think we managed to go right through him. And boy, if we can get rid of this guy. Oh, you gotta love it. Getting rid of an XM57 at the start of the game, that's a great result. And you can see that this gun, it is not bad. Keep in mind that the accuracy that you see me having here, it's going to be a little bit worse when this vehicle is released on the test server. But remember, we're gaining turret, traverse, dispersion as well. Will be a little bit enhanced compared to what you see me play. So, apart from a little bit of accuracy and 100 hit points, the vehicle gameplay that you see today is going to be the vehicle gameplay that you are going to have. Alright, so 1390 comes forwards, finishes off 2 tanks there. He feels like he is on a rampage, but yeah, good luck trying to get away from this thing. It's pretty fast. It's definitely not the most nimble with regards to its traverse speed, but it's pretty fast. I was able to control most of the engagements that I played in all of the gameplay that I had in this tank. And I have to admit, intuition, mandatory on this vehicle. Absolutely mandatory. These heat rounds, they're great at decent distances. They're great for thinly armored surfaces that you can't overmatch as well, but still want to be able to go through up to 85 degrees of angled armor. They're decent. It's interesting because a tier 10 light tank, decent heat on a tier 10 light tank is 280, and this has got 270. So it's really not bad. Not bad at all. It does feel fairly consistent with regards to how you can do work. And in the first few minutes of this battle, up to 2,000 damage. It's decent. So I'm going to call in for help. I'm going to ask my Škoda T50 to come and assist me because, yeah, I'm not digging out the 430. And this game, it's neck and neck right now, but you know how World of Tanks is. If you let up for even just a minute, it can completely turn around. And talking about letting up, I probably rushed that shot a little bit there on the ISM, but I don't want to hang around here and allow the 430 to come after me. But luckily, we can see the concentration ticked in there, and you see how the reticle went, got smaller? Beautiful. And we get a little bit more assistance on the IS-3, which now means that we have the extra crew skill for the rest of the battle for our communications expert. So again, I asked the Škoda to come and help me. I'm going to go up and try and take a shot. And that one, it seems like it's gone into the ridge. The Škoda puts 1, maybe 2 shells in, and I'm thinking, shall I go and hunt? I probably should right now. I can't really leave that Škoda out. But talk about Škodas. Oh, there's a Škoda T56 behind me. Unfortunately, that could be a bit of an ugly one to get caught out by. He was on 3/4 of his hit points. Not sure whether I hit him there. We'll have to see whether he appears on 3/4 of his hit points again. Unfortunately, he does, meaning that we didn't manage to catch him. And yeah, you know what I was saying about suddenly the game starts to look a little bit ugly? Oh, it really is. And the big problem right now is that the Škoda, who's on full health, just isn't really committing to deal with this 430. He seems to be more than happy to just try and whiff some shells across. But alas, I don't think we actually have the time for that now. Man, nice reverse speed on this tank, right? Driving at 35 kilometers an hour. Oh, dude, is that forwards or is it backwards? No, sorry, that was forwards. It's really hard to tell with this tank, isn't it? It's just a big box, this vehicle. It's just a big box. Forwards, backwards, backwards, forwards. It's tricky. But yeah, I should be able to go at least 26, 27, if you're including engineering. The Škoda actually makes a big play here. I'm going to press my F8 key to communicate what my reload is, to see if I can be able to come in and assist. I'm going to get the guy to aim at me, try and keep his attention, but I'm also worried about the center. Communicate my reload again, pretending like I'm going to be able to come around the corner, try and keep the focus on of the 430 on me, and that should allow the Škoda to be able to come and finish him off. And GG. I'm going to say thank you to the Škoda. Some really nice team play there, and maybe, just maybe, there's a chance we can get back into the game because of it. Yeah, the gun handling on this vehicle, not exactly ideal, right? And, the first bad shot of the game, really. I should have aimed that one a little bit more, but agile bat chat. And under pressure right now, it's looking ugly. But hopefully, me and the Škoda can be able to tag him. This guy's definitely coming after me. Škoda misses the first shot. Škoda hits the second. Takes a shot, but hits the third, which is beautiful. I just really wish he'd hit that third. If he'd hit the third, I could have been able to finish the bat shot off in a single shot. But there's a big difference between going in against a bat chat who's on a single shot and not. But I'm just going to have to commit anyway. The bat chat puts 1 into me. He's going to kill my Škoda friend otherwise. And it looks like his turret traverse is bad. I get him to turn all the way. And hoping that my Škoda is going to finish him off. And he does. So the dream team continues. With the Škoda and me now picking up 5 kills between us. I say thank you to him once again for the second time this game. And now I'm going to get up into position and start to just go to town again on my opponents. Škoda T56 caught out in the open. I'm going to put a round in, but again, they turned just as I fired, literally at the second. Am I meant to predict these maneuvers right now? And so I managed to hit the side of the vehicle, which is a little bit awkward. So the contender gets spotted, but I'm not able to hit him. Unfortunately, my Škoda is looking like he's in a bit of a sticky situation here. I want to try and get this Škoda T56 down below me. We're going to put 1 in. And man, this thing, this 320 alpha damage, it's significant. When you're playing something like a G-Saw and you've got 240 alpha, it just doesn't really feel like it's enough quite often to reveal yourself for that shot. But with a 320, it does feel more different. And wow, I actually spotted the Borsig without getting spotted, but as I made it around that corner, they lit me up there. And right now, we are in a 1 versus many situation and down 5,000 hit points. But what I want to show you now is just how fast this vehicle is and how it can really run rings around its opponents. And let's see what more that we can do in this battle. So I believe I have intuition switched out to an HE shell to see if we can be able to kill this M5355 in a single shell. We have 420 alpha and the M5355 has 450 hit points. So I've got like a 1 in 3 chance, roughly, to be able to take them out in a single shot. If you're also including my shell tuning into the mix. And 8 degrees of gun depression is pretty good. I'm going to need to wedge my tracks slightly on this little slope. And when I see that he misses me, then I don't need to stress so much anymore. Oh, nice. High roll. Good. That's what I like to see. And that actually means that now I've got that extra 8 seconds or so to possibly be able to get away from this situation. And that's what my goal is. This vehicle, it's a fast little reconnaissance tank that has a half-decent gun that's able to do just meaningful damage to its opponents. Meaningful is how I would describe the alpha of this vehicle. Now, don't get me wrong, if you think about how this vehicle, it could be a Leopard prototype with an exhaust, and a Leopard prototype with an exhaust still gets like 30-35% camo, and this thing with an exhaust is like 42. What would you rather have? Would you rather have kind of like the 420 alpha and the ultra good pen, or would you rather have like the 320 alpha on this vehicle and just have the slight bit of extra camo? It's tough. But even all of these hounds can't quite catch the fox in this scenario. And that's just how fast this tank is. And in these kind of situations where you've got enough time, you can actually manage to have a lot of fun with this vehicle. I've had some really interesting games and fun games in the 20 that I played. I'm not sure if it was just that I was getting nice matchmaking, or it's just quite interesting, the play style of this vehicle. I feel like its gun is rewarding enough, and I feel like its camo forces you to play this, should we say, support sniper role. I did find myself playing as if I was a tier 9 medium in this vehicle, but a tier 9 medium with better camo. But you have to sacrifice the alpha and the penetration to be able to gain it. So I'm just hoping that I can maybe catch a glimpse on someone who's in the cap circle right now. Unfortunately, I can't. There should be a bush around this corner that I can be able to use to be able to get into the cap circle. There should go T-56s over there, but he's barking up the wrong tree. And right now, let's get the heat round loaded and see if we can get this A phase 1. They turn a little bit. I'm trying to time my shell. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. I could load an HE shell here to be able to get the reset. Possibly, but I'm going to go with the heat shell there. And nice. Get the interrupt, get 17 base defense points, but unfortunately there's 3 people inside the cap. It's going to be pretty awkward for me. Thinking about getting the A phase 1. In retrospect here, I probably shouldn't have gone for the A phase 1. My heat shell doesn't manage to go through the side of his tank. I probably should have backed up here and then tried to see if there was anything else that I could shoot. And while I'm not going to be able to interrupt the cap circle, I'm hoping that I can get a bit of consolation damage on the contender. There we go, a little bit of consolation damage. And so, probably including the blind fire, about 6,300 combined and 4,500 damage dealt. It's decent for a tier 9 light. And keep in mind, if I was playing a G-Saw, the maximum damage that I can do without fires and ammo racks is 6,000 in that tank. Alright, so let's do it all over again. We're going to be playing on Sand River this time for an encounter battle. And I'm going to start the game with some less than stellar marksmanship there against the EBR-90. Should have been able to hit that shell and put some pressure up on the EBR-90. I'm going to poke up to try and get some spotting in. The Shelm is going to reveal their position. And I see a UDES 1516 running away from me. And yeah, this vehicle, man, it just feels like... The gun feels good for a light tank. It's not 10 out of 10, but it's decent. I'd probably still rather play a Char 75, but the Char 75, that vehicle really requires mini assassinations, right? Whereas this vehicle, it can definitely deal with targets of opportunity. Talking about targets of opportunity, you can see that I'm thinking like, can I just go up after this EBR-90? I try, and unfortunately my shell just whiffs. But I do actually manage to spot out the CC Mark II, and I'm hoping that my team are going to help me out. And as you're going to see in a second, ooh, they definitely do, 1,600 spotting. So while we didn't get the shot, we managed to get a good amount of assistance there with our full scouting build. Yeah, just working out. And a thing I'd like to highlight about this vehicle is that if you do take a full scouting build on it, and I do recommend you take a full scouting build for like 80-90% of your maps, it doesn't seem to affect the vehicle's combat output all of that much. I mean, I'd still love to use a gun rammer. I'd still love to use vents. I'd love to have that 13% better rate of fire, you know? Get those rounds out quicker, maybe be able to make more aggressive plays in certain situations. But I do feel like this tank is best used as a mid-range vision and a little bit of combat as well. Kind of like almost as if you were playing a tier 8 medium at tier 9, but having the possibility of the vision system and the exhaust and the excellent camo. Does feel a lot like that, like a really fast tier 8 medium, but definitely better than something like a CDC, right, with its 240 alpha damage. I think the fact that this tank has 320 it's very meaningful. It's very meaningful that this vehicle has 320. And it made it so that I was doing some half-decent games. I mean, if I was playing a medium, I'd probably sneer at the kind of damage that I was doing in my ERAC. I had many 4Ks, loads and loads and loads of 4K damage games in this tank. And if I was in a medium, I'd be like, oh, I want to do 6K. But what you're going to see in the replays today is that I'm also adding the assistance into the mix as well. And while you can definitely still add assistance into the mix when you're playing your mediums, it does feel a lot easier for this vehicle. And when you also take into account that this tank, it's not playing against mediums on the enemy team, you have to outplay the tier 9 light tank on the enemy team. This thing versus a T49? Yeah. I think it'll be a better scout than the T49. And apart from the T49 having that really good damage per minute with the 90mm or that alpha damage troll with the 152, I think this thing's going to be a lot more consistent and useful than a T49 for the team in the majority of situations. Not all of them, but the majority of situations. Against a T54 lightweight, well, I'd say the T54 lightweight is probably going to do better in a nice matchup. But the T54 lightweight is really frustrating to play with the way that the gun works. The penetration on this tank does feel as good, if not better, than the T54 lightweight. And I'd definitely rather have 320 alpha than the 250 that you'll be used to on that tank. I feel like this tank just synergizes better in that regard. So I go for the EBR-90. He is finished off, so I'm going to change to a heat round, and I'm going to derp a shell over the ridgeline into the E75. And yeah, just check out this thing's gun handling. It's not bad. That 1.9 seconds aim time, it feels nice. And it's just so worth investing into this 105mm. It really is, compared to the average 240 or 250 damage that you'll be having with all of the other tier 9 lights. The only vehicle that I think really does feel way better is the elephant in the room, the Char 75. For me, I would far rather play a Char 75 than play an ERAC 105 Proto. I've got 2 sets of 600 alpha. I can do 1,200 damage. I can get lots of crits. I can manage to get lots of fires from that, ammo racks from that. It's truly a super special tank. And that vehicle makes extra credits as well. This vehicle, no extra credits, but it doesn't have to have like that 40-second reload. And I guess the Char 75 feels a bit more like a famine or feast kind of tank. You're either going to have incredible games, or you're going to have your mediocre ones. I felt like I was really consistent in this tank. Really consistent. So if any of you out there want to play a tier 9 light tank where you feel, nah, you're never going to have that 10 out of 10 game, but you're never going to have that absolutely awful game as long as you play sensibly, this might be the one for you. Many of you will know that one of, if not my favorite tanks in the game is the Char 75. Not the Char 75. I like that one too. The Char Future 4. And the Char Future 4 was a token store reward as well. Now, I would definitely recommend getting the Char Future 4 instead of this. Don't get me wrong. But the comparisons are there, right? This vehicle has a tier 9 light tank that's inside the token store, and it's French. The Char, a lightly armored medium, which is tier 9 in French as well. And they both just feel really good. I think the reason why the Char is special is completely different to why the ERAC feels okay. But it's the same kind of ideology. Like a fairly nice gun that's never really crazy damage per minute, but still just feels pretty consistent. And that's how I feel with this tank. I kind of enjoyed it. Statistically, I don't think it's going to end up being the best of vehicles, but it's an enjoyable tank for me to play. I liked it. I liked the feel of it. Maybe I was just in a good mood on the Sunday where I played most of my games and then recorded this video. But it just felt like it was an enjoyable experience. Really did. And tier 9 matchmaking feels nice. Even when I play against tier 10 tanks, like in this game. It's alright. I can kind of handle them. I'm definitely not going to do well if there's a tier 10 light tank on the enemy team, like an EBR 105 that's whizzing around with his HE and he's doing a 500 damage every shot to me. But to be fair, you've got the same amount of hit points as an EBR 105. More if you include the field mods into the mix. And he's probably not going to want to take the 320 damage shells in return, because nobody wants to take even trades against lower tier tanks. And you will reload first to be able to get that second shot in if you're able to keep the pace with the target. I guess one of the irritating things about this vehicle is it does feel that if you do get spotted in this tank, it's a really easy target. Look at it. It's big, it's fat, it's such an easy tank to hit. It's usually the low profile tanks that are hard to hit inside World of Tanks, and this one definitely isn't low profile. And, I should mention, its camera rating, it's right in the middle to the lower of the pack. So this one is getting consistently spotted, so watch out for that as well. But, you know what? So far this game, decent. We're up to nearly 6,000 combined. I'm just hoping that I can be able to get over and get this level prototype, but the Kampfpanzer finishes them off. I get the extra 284 spotting from the T110E4 being destroyed, and now we can go after the RT. Once again, deja vu like the previous game. 400 damage there, not a high roll this time. I'm going to change to an APCR round, get hit by an artillery shell from my own team, whoops, and finish off the GW Tiger. And including, I think I hit a blind shot or some blind spotting here. This ended up being a 7,000 combined game. And we're just putting in that damage. 3,000 damage, 4,000 spotting in this game, including some hidden. It's just a consistent tank. However, before all of you think, oh wow, QuickyBaby seems to really like this vehicle, I am going to go and grind the battle pass as quickly as I can, and I am going to buy this one first. Wait. Because this vehicle is limited. Undoubtedly, it's limited. It just feels as if, statistically, it doesn't quite tick enough of the boxes to get the job done. Its damage per minute isn't quite high enough, its accuracy isn't quite good enough, its gun handling isn't quite good enough, it needs an extra degree or two of gun depression, it needs to be a little bit more low profile so it doesn't get absolutely nailed every time it gets spotted. This isn't the tank for risk takers, this is the tank for consistent playmakers. And it gets held back by the fact that it doesn't have an autoloader or that it doesn't have damage per minute. I mean, what's the point of 1,800 damage per minute at tier 9 if it doesn't have an autoloader as well? It's not really ever going to get the job done, unless, of course, you get the big old butt of an XM57. What's up with me and just punishing XM57s today? I love it. I love it. Those vehicles, they deserve it. The XM57 is got a repair kit cooldown, I guess. I don't know why it doesn't use the repair kit. Just let that one repair naturally. So we're going to put another big old shell in. I'm just hoping that my DZT is going to finish him off then. Lovely. Good job. I pressed my affirmative key. Big thumbs up there to the team to get rid of that toxic tank at the start of the battle. And I just couldn't believe that the enemy were just letting me be around here. I was kind of thinking, why am I not spotting more tanks? Why are they not trying to come after me? Why are they not trying to rush? And this vehicle, it's oh so important to not overplay your hand. You want to still be able to just stay on the fringes, make the safe plays, get those safe spots, just be a little bit careful. Because when this thing does get caught out, it really does suffer very quickly. And keep in mind, once again, like I told you in the statistics, the ERAC 105 Proto that you see me playing has 100 more hit points than the one that you will get from the token store. Wargaming decided to remove some hit points from it. I kind of don't like the changes that they made at the last minute, because they took a tank that was a little bit different to a G-Saw, and it just feels like they just made it identical to a G-Saw. But as I said, the G-Saw actually has the best win ratio difference of any of the tier 9 lights. And so if the G-Saw has the best win ratio difference of the tier 9 lights, surely this one should do very well as well. Well, yes, but the elephant in the room is that this vehicle just doesn't really have the camo rating that the G-Saw has. And clearly, the G-Saw isn't just winning its games through damage alone, because it's limited to 6,000 damage, and that's if you hit all of your shots. This vehicle has double the damage potential, and I actually started to run quite low on ammunition, which makes me think, boy, how frustrating the G-Saw would be. Maybe I just had blessed matchmaking. So I'm pretty sure this Borask is going to go after the DZT-159, which is a little bit of a shame for him. But yeah, I know the Borask is reloading for 20 seconds, so as long as I hit this guy, I'm going to be a little bit of a troll here. I'm going to give him a little bit of a wiggle. I just don't like Borasks either. QuickyBaby, are there any tanks that you do like? Yeah, the Tog. Tog's great. Tog gets a pass. If it was a Tog, I wouldn't troll it. I'd probably respect it. But talk about respect. What did I say you need to do in this tank? You need to respect the situation. What am I going to do? Go into a G-Saw with an AMX 1390 and possibly a Conway coming after me with the Spatuk also trying to get shots in from the side? Hell no. I'm going to yeet out of here as quickly as I can, and you can see us getting out of here at mid-70s kilometer an hour. It's decent. It's half decent. Well, not quite mid-70s. Without the turbo, we're going to be going about 73 in this vehicle. But hopefully we can dodge to be able to get out of here and not allow these two autoloaders, of which there are 3 autoloading French tanks on the enemy team. And that's one of the big issues. They have a Borask, an ELC 90, they got a 1390, and they've got a Bachatillon 12T. French autoloading tanks. This one, big fat thing, lower to mid camo rating, just doesn't really have the capacity. Oh, low roll, but Justice, can you believe we rolled 253 out of 320? It's practically a min roll in this vehicle, but luckily we get a Justice Fire to shut down the ELC. So I'm asking the STA-2 to help me out with the upcoming light tanks on the enemy team. And I'm just trying to get out of there to try and create distance and hope that I'm going to start to get some spotting in this game. But how cool was that fight? That fight was cool, right? It definitely was cool. We went in, pushed a flank, fought until we had no opportunity left against multiple autoloaders, and still managed to get out to get to a defensive position. This thing's fast, it's able to get away from these scenarios. It's sneaky enough as well. But it's limited. It's limited. If you think, oh, Quacky Babs, I want to get this thing, it looks so much fun, I'm going to do so well and crush all of my games. It's limited, boys and girls. Really limited. Its damage per minute isn't quite high enough. Its alpha damage is nice, but not exactly outrageously good for tier 9. It's an okay tank. It's average to good is what I would feel in this vehicle. Average to good. Mid-range, mid-level. If you're a good player at tier 9, you'll do well in this vehicle. But trust me, there are going to be a lot of people who think that they can just walk into tier 9 light tank without setting their vehicle up correctly. But you are all going to set it up correctly because you watch my tank reviews, right? And QuickyBaby has only the best picks with regards to equipment and field mods. Of course, of course, of course. All jokes aside, there will be so many people who play this thing badly. There really will be. There'll be so many people who don't have a clue with regards to how to play a light tank at tier 9. And that's the only shot I'm going to miss this entire game. Maybe the pressure's getting to me at the end of the battle. But unfortunately, it all catches up on us at the end. The Spatuk spots us just as I was getting behind the bush. And we get a 6k combined game, destroying a third of the enemy team with 5 kills, but just not quite enough. And that is my conclusion to this tank. It's okay. Okay to good. Would I invest my battle pass points in this? Well, I'm going to get it eventually because I buy all of the premium battle passes. But, I mean, stay tuned to my channel because I will be doing a full tank review, not on the TT130M. I'll be doing a full tank review on the Object 265T very soon. But if you're only going to get one of these 2 tanks this season, unless you really, really like the look of the ERAC 105 Proto, I'd get this one. I'd get the Object 265T. But that's not to say that the ERAC 105 Proto will not be an okay tank. But it just needs to be premium for me. The reward just isn't enough. If I could have this balanced kind of play style with some credit income as well, it would probably be one of the go-to tier 9 premiums that I play, a lot like the Char 75 has become. But as a reward vehicle, it's all right. It's going to be the second one that most people pick up. Everybody else, unless you absolutely hate Soviet heavies, should get the Object 265T. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed my full tank review of the ERAC 105 Proto. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below what you think about the ERAC 105 Proto. Do you think it looks incredible? Is this the one that you're going to get? Or are you going to wait to see what Uncle Scrubs has to say about the Object 265T? And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Monday, in 3 hours from now, the new token store will go live. So come along right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby and get ready for the first set of the drop tokens so you can get yourself a Dicker Max or you can get yourself an SU85i for free just for watching my stream on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays for the next 5 or 6 weeks. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.